Hi, I'm Steve. This is Fran. Today we're going to talk about best 36 induction ranges. Now, you didn't see induction 36-inch ranges before, and then there's been bans in certain cities and high-rises, multi-unit high-rises of gas stoves. And no, the government's not coming for your gas range. They'll just forbid you to buy one in a high-rise property, in a new one anyway, especially in Boston. That said, do you want to give the pros of induction real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah, 36 is definitely, in general, is probably a size that you're really going to see the professional brands. And you've seen some of them kind of over the years play in that 30-inch space. But like you said, now you're definitely starting to see a lot more in the larger sizes. Induction, just for a couple of reasons, is becoming extremely popular. So one is the performance of it.
Yep.
As far as everything from a simmer to a boil, it's really instantaneous. So, boiling water, searing, those sort of things to get to that high heat is going to be a lot faster than gas because it's so efficient. With gas, you lose, half of that flame power is kind of going, not even hitting the pan. Whereas induction, you're getting 90% of that power. So it's really transferring directly to the pan. And with that, the way that works, it's also the safety component of induction.
Yep.
So because the heat source is the pan and it's transferring directly there is no heat on the outside of that pan. So much safer. The only reason the even cooktop would stay warm is from the residual heat of the pan.
Yep.
So it cools down much faster. Kids, pets, you can't turn on obviously a gas burner different, but you can't turn on an induction burner without an induction capable pan on top of it. So safety, performance, really a lot of reasons to like.
Cleanability too, the classic. So for the cons of induction is it requires more service, which is always like, a fun experience in this industry. It does require more service than gas. If your area's got voltage spikes and brownouts, it's very susceptible to that because it uses the 50 amp circuit. Our electrician said get a smoother or whatever that is to smooth out the spikes. And going from gas to induction is expensive because you need to change the line, you need an electrician, and perhaps a plumber in this state. So you got pros and cons, but I do like induction. So let's get to
Sounds good.
Let's get it. What brands we got?
So let's start. We're going to start with one of the more popular 36 inches, and that's going to be Wolf. What do you think there?
Well, when I look at these 36s, it seems like the tops are all made by Schott. It seems like the max wattage is 3,700 watts, which it is on this. You get boost, which means what happens is it borrows the heat from the back to boost that burner. The front too, usually. Wolf's got a bridge. Some of them have bridges, some of them don't. But what I like about Wolf is, first of all, the everything else. The induction range is nice. I guess it's pretty similar to everything else we're pretty much going to describe. To certain degrees. But I like the Wolf Gourmet feature where you can input the food you want, how you want it cooked, and it'll give you time, temperature, and even rack position. I think that's kind of cool. Their verticross convection system is good. I do like the brand, because of that blower convection and because of the, because of the oven capability. The top, it's got the new LCD screen on it too as well, which is kind of interesting. I would say it's, in terms of oven capacity, we just measured it, it's the biggest at 32 inches wide. So very likable range, kind of on the expensive side, but certainly if it isn't the best, it's got to be considered one of the best, certainly.
Absolutely. And that's like you said, it's funny because when you look at comparing induction tops on these ranges, induction leveled the playing field a little bit, I would say, because when you look at the features kind of right at that detailed level, there are a lot of similarities there. So a lot of it comes down to some of the convenience. Like you said, some of them will bridge, so you can put two burners together for a griddle pan or something like that. The usability of the controls and how easy it is to go from high to low and switch burners and that sort of thing. And then it is really the ovens. So, Wolf, like we've said before, comparing like dual fuel ranges, this is the same oven that you get in their dual fuel range. It really is one of the best out there. The Wolf Gourmet mode is awesome. Truly one of the best convection systems, a little bit deeper as well, like you said. So you kind of really get probably the most usable capacity. The other thing that we talk about is, when you look at cubic footage, when you look at them for what the brand says it is, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So there's no regulation to cubic footage. So some of them are all over the place. But truly, when you look at Wolf, you can see with your eyes too. Yeah, it's a lot of usable capacity. So I really like it.
It's the biggest of, and you don't get a lot going from 30 to 36. We just measured. But theirs is the biggest.
Yeah.
And some are kind of small. Some of the ones we're going to get into. But all around, I like it. Family-owned company, made in America. There's something to be said for that too. What would you rank it?
I would rank Wolf the best.
Yeah. So what was that?
S.
Why is it always S?
That's just what the kids say nowadays.
I would say it's either S or A.
Okay. All right. So now let's jump into Thermador.
Okay, Thermador versus Wolf, very similar price, very different range. What I like about Thermador is the top. It's got the Liberty top to it, so you could, you set it so like say rice. You can cook it, warm it, keep it still in one where you can have you just move the pan and have 3 different temperature zones. Now I think, would I ever do that? And the answer is probably not.
It looks fancy,
but if you like to cook, that's certainly an advantage. You got the 2 bridge burners there.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of possible functionality. If that's the way you cook, it's a great range. Unfortunately, the oven part, you're looking at basic single convection. There's no real features to it. It is Wi-Fi, you have smart, you have Home Connect, which is a good app, but it's just straight single convection, not as big as a Wolf. Good top. I think the oven can be better.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up there. They, within price points, within a couple $100s of the Wolf, certainly there's some promotions. You get a free product there, but if you're comparing strictly the ranges, they're within really a couple $100s of each other. Thermador, I think in general, makes some really great induction tops.
Yeah, I think their induction's great.
Absolutely.
And reliable,
the heat shift works really well. The controls are really nice and easy to use. But like you said, the oven is definitely in need of an upgrade with the single convection, no screen, really no guided cooking with, you need the app to really kind of access a lot of those features. From an oven perspective, I'd definitely say it's kind of needs an upgrade there, but induction top itself is great.
What do you think?
I'd probably go with the B.
I go with the B.
Yeah, really for the oven. The top is great, but I go with the B. Next, let's talk about Monogram.
Monogram is really interesting because I love, the touch controls on the front, 3700.
Yep.
You're not going to get anything more than 3700 watts. So it's going to be very similar that way. Touch controls. So if you cook by temperature, you can have the temperature output on that control. So let's just say you want to melt chocolate at 170, 150 degrees. You can set it at a temperature, whereas you can't on any of the other ones, really. I like that feature a lot. I think it's a good size oven. The only problem I have with this product is its depth. Depth is like another 2.5 inches versus everything else. It's noticeable on display, if you're in a galley kitchen setting thing, and you're going to see this thing stick out. That's the only problem I have with it. Other than that, though, I like the top. I like the oven. It's got the LCD screen, which pops out. It's the same. Everyone's doing the 7-inch articulating screens, but it's a good unit, good looking unit.
Absolutely.
Certainly, they style it nice, but depth's an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, very noticeable, the depth on it there. 5 burners on the top, just like it was with the Wolf, or 5 elements, I should say, with the induction, like it is with the Wolf and Thermador. This one has only 1 bridge burner, so whereas the other 2, you can bridge both sides.
Bridge both sides.
Yeah, this is one. Like you said, the oven's a good oven, but really where it's an upgrade over the Thermador in the oven too is that 7-inch LCD touchscreen guided cooking, really kind of walks you through a lot of that. So I'd say it's definitely a good oven for sure. What would you rank that?
You like it better than Thermador?
I'd say it's even.
I'd say it's even. B.
B. All right, so next one we're going to talk about is Fisher Paykel. So Fisher Paykel has a couple different series. They do kind of exactly. So they have, New Zealand company, so they have a more European style, which is kind of in their classic or contemporary, and then they have the true pro. So let's start with kind of that European classic contemporary style.
Well, first of all, what I like about it is the fact that you can get it in something other than stainless steel, which, as of now, your choice has been stainless and stainless. You can get this in red, black, white, and stainless steel. Yep. So if you're looking for a decent finish, white and black are very popular right now. Red, if you like putting a pop of color in there, you have that. I like the tops, with the 3 burner modules. I think the top is good. Oven isn't as big. The Pro's got the screen, the Classic does not. 3,700 watt element like everybody else.
Yep.
Colors and
Yeah,
I like
on
the
the
utilitarian on the top, but you don't get the temperature reading of the of the Monogram. You don't get the ability to move back and forth like the Thermador, and you don't really have the LCD screen on the top of a Wolf, but it does give you the ability to bridge. So it's basic, but it's a couple grand less for the Classic, and the Pro it's
Exactly.
it's a little bit more. I actually like the Classic for, if you want to save a couple grand personally.
Yeah, I think the Classic is actually a really good range for someone that kind of wants something a little bit more simple. It's a much different look than your kind of traditional Pro, so it's going to sit more flush with your counters, not really stick out from there. A lot of people don't like the control or all the electronics, so it kind of has all the knobs in the front, more of a traditional kind of look as far as that goes. But the Pro would definitely give you, a little bit of a bigger oven as far, it's funny because their cubic footage actually is less on the Pro than the Classic, but it's going to be a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. You're going to have that 7-inch LCD screen, like you said.
Yep.
They have some cool, like the knobs are illuminated. So if you're, preheating the oven, you know exactly by the knob behind, the color behind the knob once it's ready to go.
Sure.
So some cool features, but between Fisher Paykel, truly, I think you really gain some good value with their Classic or Contemporary.
I agree.
It's a couple grand less than really any of them.
And people going white and black in their kitchen, so I'd give it a B.
Yeah.
So
we'll say B for Classic. What about Pro?
I don't think it's as good as the other ones, quite honestly, on the Pro. It's still something to consider if you want something different. B-.
I like that. Let's go with that.
Can I do B-?
We can.
Did you ever get a B- in school?
Probably, I'm sure.
It's the only thing. That's you go beyond B in school, and your mom gets pissed.
Listen, I'll take the B-. All right, so we got one more here for 36, and let's talk about Bosch.
Okay.
So this is a different one with Bosch. So first off, I guess we would say, Bosch has a couple different styles of induction too. In 30-inch, they have their traditional slide-in range in this more European style, like we were talking about with the Fisher Paykel. 36, it's only this European style. The industrial range is what they call it.
Yeah, industrial because they don't make it. It's made for them.
Yeah.
I like Bosch. I like Bosch as a company because typically, they're the most service-oriented of the big companies, I think. So if you have a problem, typically parts, service, RGAs, if you have a problem, they'll take it back without a fight, unlike other companies. I like that about them. This range is really small, especially in depth. The fan comes out a lot. So, you're talking about less cubic footage capacity than a 30-inch. I would say almost much less. The top really doesn't do much. It does give you the higher, you have the same 3,700 watt, and again, it depends. This is a good looking range for 2,000 less than even the Fisher Paykel at $6,000.
Yeah.
But in terms of functionality, size, oven, who makes it for them, and everything else, clearly not the same spec as the others.
Yeah, I completely agree there. And I think, you get the 5 elements, 1 bridge. So when you're comparing this more so to like a Fisher Paykel Classic, I think, it's an inexpensive way to get into that size. But yeah, you definitely lose, you get that size. But like you said, you lose a lot of space too with the way that's laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially depth.
Yeah.
I would say, again, if you're going to compare a $6,000 range to a $10,000 range, I'd say it's a B.
Sure.
But if in terms of functionality, if you really want, a better induction range and you cook a lot in the oven, it's probably a C.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so that's all the 36-inch induction ranges.
That's it for 36.
That's it.
Well, if you like the ranking systems, we'll have more of them. So click the subscribe button, and thanks for watching.
Thanks.